Let's bring up that cover again, because it seems to me like a good place to start. There's code on the cover. What does it say? I can't, I mean, unfortunately, the definition isn't good enough for us to be able to read it.
Well, I can tell you because I wrote it.
Yes, I figured you did.
It defines an issue. It uses a programming language called Python 3, and it creates an...
There it is.
There it is. And it creates a class, ignore that, but it creates a thing called an issue, and then it actually, well, meaning a magazine issue, and then we go ahead and create one. In the code below, we say make an issue called Bloomberg BusinessWeek. It's $5.99. There's some little notes in there, like for the programmer for later, like come back and figure out other currencies, because I wanted it to be realistic. And so it's kind of incomplete, imperfect code. But it runs, and when you run it, it publishes BusinessWeek.
I want to talk about why this is important to talk about and explain. Our own Chief Content Officer, Josh Charingo, wrote to us in a summary, "This piece originated from my own ignorance. I've been faking my way through web meetings for 12 years, comprehending some things and being completely bewildered by others. Not acceptable anymore. I, my brother, feel the same way." So walk us through this. What does it even mean?
To code?
Yes. Beside the fact that we want all of our children to do it.
When a programmer starts their day, they come in, they might have a meeting, talk to other programmers about all the little pieces that they're working on, and then eventually they're going to go to their computer and they're going to sit down and they're going to write scritch, scritch, scritch. They're going to write little lines of code, individual lines, individual commands, and then they're going to try to compile or execute them to make them all run. And as enough people do that and work together and merge all those little things together, that's how software is born.
And creating a what?
An app, a desktop app, a website, a back end for a website that lets you log into the website.
Okay, so take us back 100 years.
100 years.
Before
Yes.
any of this existed.
Okay.
Explain to me in like pencil and paper and rock and chisel what the equivalent would be.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's the thing. This is all new. We are in a new world. But back then, it would be I would come in and I would make some notes on a note card, and I would go put that in the giant index card database, and then someone else would update the index to all the indexes, and then it's like to think about a giant library.
Well, what would I think I get your question. It's my question too. What would today's coder have done 50 years ago or 70 years ago before the advent of the computer?
This is the thing. I think about this question constantly. There's no real answer because the whole. Maybe
the coder is a more highly evolved form of human life?
Not more highly evolved, but they exist in reaction to the technology. So, librarian, mathematician. I mean, the word computer actually does refer to a human being. That was the original computer, was someone who would sit and do mathematical operations.
One who computes.
Exactly. And they would have many of them in a room doing complicated equations.
Here's another question. They say doctors shouldn't run hospitals because doctors are good at making people get better. They're not good at running organizations. What about coders? Should coders run companies or should managers run companies?
Is it fair to say that a coder can't be a manager? Why does a coder have to be a one-dimensional person?
But for the same reason that most doctors are crappy managers. It's true.
But some doctors are good managers.
And traders are bad at running banks.
This is a problem that's been going on in the industry forever, which is that programmers get promoted because they want to level up, and they were great coders, but they're terrible with people. And it's just a well-known problem. Some people are natural managers; they find their way up, but very often it's a tricky situation because people sort of get caught. They want to keep programming, and then they need to move up, and they become.
I mean, honestly, welcome to Wall Street. I'd like to introduce you to my friend John Corzine. I mean,
no, I guess what's sort of in the back of my mind is Mark Zuckerberg, you know, who presumably still calls himself a programmer, but who recognized that he needed some of the bedside manner, perhaps, that he lacked, and got some from Sheryl Sandberg.
So he hired Sheryl Sandberg.
I mean, that's the thing. He has enough self-awareness to know I need an adult, and he went out and got some. Got many adults.
We have to leave. What's your biggest takeaway in this piece? 30,000 words. What are the 15 words I need to know?
Learn about the Agile methodology. Which is a way of managing coders. Just Google it. Search, learn the programming language Python, spend 2 hours learning it, just so you know.
That's all it takes?
And talk to your coders. It takes a lot longer, but get started.
Can anybody be a coder?
Yes, anybody can be a coder.
Yes, you can Google that, or you can just read this week's issue of BusinessWeek because Paul crushed it. Paul, our friend, he's a programmer, he's a journalist, and this is a really, really special piece. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.